What's going on, everybody? Let me see if I can get rid of these light streaks. Um, I started early to let people get notified. Your stream will stop immediately. Not sure what that is. Why is it doing that? Is it something on my camera? A little better. All right. Well, it looks like we're getting people in there. We'll have them comment here in a second. Joaquin Jack, what's up, buddy? Abigail's out there. For those of you that don't shoot NRL Hunter, I would say it's my favorite style of shooting that I've came across so far. And the reason for this video, and if you don't shoot this style match, this may be information that you don't even care to know. But today's going to be a video on promoting NRL Hunter. And I think after quite a few years of doing all the stuff you might have seen me on YouTube if you've been around a while, between 3-gun and pistol stuff and different style team matches and all that kind of stuff, I've really come to enjoy NRL Hunter the most. And it's been a lot of fun in the last 2 years, solid, nothing but NRL Hunter. But we'll get into it. We'll wait for some people to show up. And then I'm going to go over basically everything you need to know, how to sign up, what you should be looking for, gear to grab, things to look for, and little hints and things that you're going to learn on here of how to even sign up for a match, because the matches nowadays sign up so fast. And if you are not a member, it definitely makes it even harder, but we'll get into it. So I wrote down some notes, so you'll see me kind of coming back and forth looking at notes. And the reason for that is to try to not get off topic, try to go in a systematic order of basically what takes place from the beginning to the end. And I'm sure I'll miss stuff, and you guys can jump in there, comment, leave comments in the comments section. That helps to kind of wake the algorithm up and tell more people that we're going live right now. Now, I'm just running it off of a laptop computer. I'm not using any high-tech cameras. I'm not even going to do any of the editing crap. And the reason why is this is about information. It's not about fancy, things and little video screens on the side playing and all that kind of stuff. Even though it'd be cool, it'd probably be a little nicer of a video, but I think it's more important that you're getting the information than getting all the fancy gizmo gadgets. So things to know. Let me see here. Let me start on page 1. Things to know is if you're thinking about going, or you've heard your buddies maybe, or you've kind of watched some videos of NRL Hunter and you're like, man, that looks pretty interesting. How you're going to sign up for the matches is nrlhunter.org or ORG. You're going to have 2 different options when you go in there. You're going to be able to, and we'll talk about this site quite a bit, because as a member that signed up and they keep all your scores and stuff and all the matches that you've been to is really good information. And we'll kind of get into that later if I can remember, because I didn't write that down. But the reason that you need to sign up early or know about it is to get and sign up before it fills up. And what I mean by that is it fills up quickly, especially some of the ones that are really sought after. The ones that, you've heard me maybe talk about 100 million times about, man, if you could only go to one match, these would be the ones you want to go to, kind of thing. So there is matches that fill up very quickly. There's matches that take a little longer to fill up, but as those get known more about, what's up, Kirkane, those will start to fill up faster and faster. A lot of people from PRS, just hunters in general, that have learned that this is designed for hunters. This is designed to help basically make and show ethical shots at certain distances. So everything is within about 200 yards to 1,000 yards is the window that you'll ever have to shoot in these 2-day matches. Now they do have 1-day matches, which I think is a really, really good thing, especially if you're like, man, I really want to try this, but I'm not sure. I don't really want to sign up for a 2-day match. If you go to that NRLHunter.org that I talked about, you'll see ones that say games on it, GAMES, games. And those are your 1-day matches. And those might be really close to you. Those might be very far from you. It just depends on where you're located in the United States or in Canada or Alaska. So you'll want to go there and kind of figure out which matches. Now, this is basically the end of the season. We just got, they just sent out the Grand Slam. It's basically like the Nationals, and that'll be held in Arizona. I did get a chance to get an invite for the Nationals, so I got to figure out if I'm going to go or not go. Kind of waiting for a buddy of mine to figure out if he's going to make it or not. But we will find that out later. So basically all throughout the nation, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and predominantly it started on the West Coast, and now it's starting to work its way pretty darn good all the way to the East Coast, which is really cool. So you got more options depending on where you're living. And now there's matches in Canada. I had a chance to shoot the 2 Canada matches. Rumor is that there's going to be 4 in Canada next year. So if you're up in Canada or Montana or up towards those states, there'll be more matches available for you guys to get to. There was also one that we went to in Alaska. That one I don't think will be taking place next year because it takes a few years for the permitting process to go through, especially since you're shooting on Denali Park, which is gorgeous, and which also showed its face quite a few days while we were out there, which a lot of people will go to Alaska and never get a chance to see Denali or Mount Denali, just for the fact is it gets pretty fogged in or clouded in with clouds and weather. So we did get lucky, took some pictures of that. But first thing to know is you need to sign up. So you're going to want to go to that location. The new match, probably maybe like September, you'll kind of get an idea where the matches will be. They'll start popping up, or keep going back until you see them for 2026, because 2025 is basically over if you all the matches are done, and now it's just the Grand Slam or the Grand Finale, or basically the championship. So we talked about the Hunter games. Now, as a person that, say you've never shot one of these matches, and I've been lucky enough to shoot this the last 3 or 4 years, so I have quite a few matches under my belt. Last year I think I did 13. This year I think I did 11 or 12 so far, and then the year prior to those was like 6 or 7. So I have had a chance to drive all over the United States and Canada and Alaska, to give you guys an idea and help you get through this whole how do I get and what do I need and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into gear requirements. Now, I kind of broke it into must-haves, should-haves, and nice-to-haves. So must-haves, you obviously need a rifle, or you need to be able to borrow a rifle, the ammo that comes with it, some type of rangefinder, and we'll get into should-haves and must-haves, but some type of way of figuring out how far away that target is. A set of binos, you want probably an 8 power to 10. Some people are using 12, some people are using 6, but 8 to 10 will definitely work. And it kind of depends on that stage and how far away the targets are. DOPE, which is data on previous engagements. It's kind of an acronym. Basically, you want to know what your rifle does and how far it shoots and how, kind of some data for it. So whether you're shooting in mils or MOA, doesn't really matter. It's basically the difference of kilometers and miles per hour. They all work out the same. It's just in one language or another. You're going to want a backpack of some sort to hold your ammunition and kind of your gear that you're going to be carrying around. So this is not on a flat range like you'd see on PRS. This is basically where you could be hiking a few miles into stage 1, stage 18. Just depends on where you're going to start. And you're going to be out there, so you're going to want to have stuff on you. And the nice to have, so I'll skip should haves. You're going to want snacks, some type of Advil or Tylenol if you're listening to, basically boom, boom all day. Kestrel is a nice to have. If you don't know what that is, it's basically you can punch in all your data. There's different ones, but like applied ballistics and basically it'll tell you like your weather, your wind, that kind of stuff, and it basically tells you what your dope should be or your data should be as the day heats up, cools down, gets windier, whatever the case is. So back to must-haves. You need some type of rear bag, whether it's an Armageddon, a wee bat, or whatever, or even a bag of sand or a bag of rice. You're going to want something to stabilize the rear of your rifle or something to put onto an object. Basically, we call them barricades, but these are in the form of natural barricades more than most of the time out in the NRL hunter world. So you could have a big old tree branch that's on a tree, and we got to shoot from that position. So you're going to want a bag to rest your rifle on, so you have some type of stability there. An arm board, whether it's an you could go to a sporting goods store and get like basically a little arm board that the quarterback would use, and then you could stuff your data in there. Hey, Tim Rink. Or something as elaborate as some of the armbands that are made that you can type in, like rifle data arm boards, and different ones will come up. But you're going to want something that's basically hard data. So if your electronics go down, your battery goes down on whatever you have something to fall back to. So the should-haves. So the must-haves is obviously you need those rifle ammo, rangefinder, something, that kind of stuff. But should-haves is range finding binos. Like if maybe you have a buddy that has a set, or maybe you already have a set, or maybe you're thinking about getting a set. You don't need these. This is should-haves. And I mean should-haves because you save a lot of time trying to find targets and then ranging. So if I was to give an example, I go up to the first stage and I have a rangefinder and a bino, and I do my bino, and I've seen plenty of people do this, and they find the targets, and then they have to go to their rangefinder and find it, and then they write the distances down on their arm board. Not a problem with that, especially if you can find the target fairly rapidly. It makes it a little bit easier, gives you more time to shoot. Now, some of the things that we'll add on to with the should-haves is a bipod and or a tripod. There's a lot of times where we're going to be shooting above tall grass or bushes, and having a bipod wouldn't work, but a tripod would. So definitely before you go to these matches, try shooting off of a bipod and a tripod, whether in the prone position or shooting standing off of a tripod is going to be very beneficial, especially depending on what locations you go to throughout the United States or Canada. There's going to be ones that either have a lot of brush, or you're going to be shooting steep angles or down angles. So you're going to need something besides a bipod. So if you can borrow a tripod, or you already have a tripod, it doesn't need to be something fancy. I would say some of the most expensive ones out there are probably like $1,600. Really right stuff with an Anvil 30 on it, and then all the way down to some of your lighter framed kind of official hunting stuff that you're going to be carrying for miles and miles into the bushes. All that stuff's going to work. The best thing about this is if you are that avid hunter, this is a great way to check all your gear and make sure it works. You may go out there and go, man, this didn't work because it was too cold. The batteries went dead. You could say, oh, this thing's too light and flimsy. It broke on the first stage. And then you're not carrying this junk, to a hunting, on an actual hunt, and it's not going to work. So back to the should-haves again. We have some tools of some sort, something to be able to tighten some stuff down. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be like the ones that work for your rifle and maybe your tripod. Just those heads, a way to tighten stuff. It doesn't need to be like a full set of stuff. Extra batteries. Batteries are good. You got batteries in your range finding binos or your rangefinder. You got them in your rifle scope if you're reticle, if you're running that. Your timer, you're going to want a timer of some sort on. I would call that a must-have. The reason why I say a must-have is because they're fairly cheap. They're like $18 on Amazon. They talk to you, tell you what's going on when you start. You kind of have an idea of time so that you're not just rushing the entire time. You're like, you know what, I'm good. I found the targets and I still have 2 minutes left. Because if you're shooting individually, you have only 4 minutes to find the targets, range the targets, engage the targets, and then you got to move in positions depending on what style of of targets it is. And having a idea of this thing talking to you, 2 minutes left, 30 seconds left, definitely is a huge benefit. Maybe a couple band-aids and a chest harness. If you have a way to hold your binos in your chest harness, you can use that soccer out of that bag of rice or sand, or if you went out and bought a rear bag, you can plop that right on top of your tripod, use it as a nice stable position so that you can find the targets. And whether you're ranging from a rangefinder or your binos, it's a lot more stable and you can get better ranges that way. Once you get targets out quite a bit, or if they're real narrow prairie dogs, you may be missing off of the left or right edge or above it or below it, and you're getting bad distances. So you really want to be stable and confirm a few times that you're actually getting the correct distances. Because if not, you might be ranging the hill behind it. So a target at 550 yards is showing 712. Your data is going to show 712, so you're going to be shooting right over the target, and you're going to be missing and wondering why am I not hitting? Some of the things as well. So there is weight requirements. So there's divisions and weight requirements in NRL Hunter. And I would say the best way to get into this and feel good about it and understand the whole idea and the concept of it is to shoot in skills division. I didn't do that for the fact that I had shot a lot of matches of different styles before, Team Safari and just different Snipers Unknown and different matches and different other rifle matches and PRS stuff, that I'm like, my hardest part will be finding targets. The shooting part should be okay. If you have no experience and you really want to get the best out of it, the skills division is cheaper. So it's not the full entry fee, which makes it nice. So you go there, you get a ton of learning on the clock and learning ahead of time, and we'll get into that. If you do sign up as skills, and I hope you do, you're going to get a lot more benefits. And here's some of the benefits. The benefit is you're going to be able to see shooters in front of you shoot. You're going to be able to find the targets, get the distances for the targets, get your arm board all set up and ready before you even have to shoot. So the best way I tell everybody to do this is if this is a squad of 5 people and you're a skills shooter and this is the beginning, the first shooter, and this is the end, you want to be over here somewhere. The reason why is that you, being the person, can watch the first shooter. You can find the targets. You can do all the ranging and stuff. You could even watch this shooter shoot as well. The reason why you want to watch shooters shoot that have shot before is because you get an idea of how they're setting up to have a stable position, whether it's using a bag off of a tree and running a tripod in the rear as a rear support, or maybe they're running a bipod, or maybe they found a good little spot that works really well shooting with the backpack. You're getting ideas ahead of time. That's the important part. What makes this sport so fun is it's around hunting, right? So everything's blind to the normal shooter. The people that are shooting in open heavy, open light, factory division, and there's women's and youth or juniors as well. But you're getting a chance to see what they're doing, so you don't have to think of that on the clock. So you're saving time finding the targets already. You're saving time knowing exactly the ranges of the targets and where they are, which is a huge part of this whole style of shooting. And then you're getting a chance to see 1 or 2 shooters ahead of you, figure out how they did it. So now you already have all this information. So now when it's your turn, so we'll talk about this. First shooter, second shooter you watch. This gives you enough time to get back, get all your gear on and ready while this guy's shooting. So now you have this 4 minutes. So you watch this guy shoot. Maybe you didn't watch till the end, or maybe you did. Now you haul ass back to the staging area. You get your gear, your rifle, everything's loaded, your mags are loaded, all that stuff should be done. And then when this guy shoots and now this person's already done, then they're going to call you up. So you're going to want to remember where those targets were, of course, and the distances, and you're going to want to write all that stuff down, like I said. But that is the way to shave many, many minutes. I've seen people go up there and spend the entire time trying to find the targets. And then they never got a chance to shoot. Some of the things and the benefits of having a timer that we were talking about, and I touch my chest because that's normally where I keep my timer on my little chest harness, is after 2 minutes. A 2-minute mark is a really good mark to say, "What's up, Ben from Australia?" After 2 minutes, if you only found, say, one target, and say there's 4 targets, but you only found one, now the 2-minute mark has gone off. In the beginning, just go get into position, because you're gonna take a while to get into position and get all steady and work with the tree that's wiggling around or shooting off of whatever you're shooting off of. So give yourself that whole 2 minutes to get where you're gonna at least make a good shot and hopefully impact it. Now, when you do, there's 3 different styles of target arrays. You have 4 targets, 1 position, 1 target, 4 positions, or 2 target, 2 positions. So those are the only 3 things you need to know. If you see 4 targets, and it'll be a little placard at your staging area, if you know that there's 4 targets, you know you only got 1 spot. Once you get settled in, you're probably not going to have to move too much to hit the other 3 targets. So that's a good thing. 4 positions, 1 target, you know that there's 1 target. So that's kind of cool. You only have to find 1 target, but now you gotta rebuild each time, a stable position to shoot off of. So you got to bounce from wherever they have you to the next 3 positions. And then a 2 and a 2 is 2 targets, 2 positions, like we talked about. And as you get better at doing this, and you can kind of figure out, like, hey, when I'm only going into 1 position, I can spend a hair more time. After you get kind of used to this, I can probably go till I only have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. So that means I can have 2 minutes, 30 seconds of trying to find the targets, because 4 targets, you got to find, 4 targets, which is either twice as hard or 4 times as hard, depending on what style we're shooting. So you need that little extra time sometimes, depending on your location and how tough they have the targets hidden. So those are kind of the things that you're going to want to think of. When it comes to weight requirements, if you shoot in skills division, which is another bonus or a plus to shooting in skills, this gives you the idea of what's taking place. They don't care how much your rifle weighs. They do care how big of a caliber you're shooting. You can only go so big. But basically, if you're shooting like normal hunting rifle stuff, and I would advise you not to shoot like something that's going to be killing moose or something like that. Try to stay like 6.5 Creedmoor right in there, because you're going to be shooting all day. And that takes a toll on your wallet when it comes to buying ammunition. And it also takes a toll on your shoulder all day. If you have the ability, definitely shoot with some type of muzzle brake or suppressor. That'll help make your day a little more comfortable. A good set of ear pro is, obviously a must-have. And depending on the match you go to, sometimes eye pro is a must-have as well. But get some type of comfortable ear pro, whether it's in the ears, ear muffs, something to basically calm all the booms for the day. When it comes to divisions, we kind of briefly went over it real quick, but basically you have factory, which there's a list that are specific to making factory rifles. The company has to make X amount of rifles. It's got to be on their factory line. There's a lot of rules in there, but we're not going to get into the rules so much, because you can find all that on NRL Hunter. Another good thing to have at your fingertips on Facebook is the NRL Hunter community. If you look on there, there's different ways to ask questions for new shooters, old shooters. Let me see if I can pick it up real quick. Yeah, NRL Hunter Community Official. And it's basically going to look like that. And that's what you can ask questions there. No questions are dumb questions, but definitely kind of search around a little bit before you ask the same question that's probably been asked 485,000 times, just because someone's probably already asked it. So you can kind of just search in there and you might find the question you need. There is weight requirements. So in skills division, no weight requirements, which is nice. You see people bring in their PRS rifles and they get a chance to shoot NRL Hunter. And I haven't met anybody that hasn't enjoyed their day of shooting NRL Hunter. So usually they come back and either try skills one or two more times and then either jump into factory, open light, open heavy, or whatever the case is. So those are the divisions, along with ladies division. There's a ladies division, and there's also the junior division. So it makes it nice. I see a lot of young ladies and gentlemen out there that are, I wish I would have started this young, and they're out there with their dads and moms, and it's super cool. There is one other division, and it's teams. So to get into teams real quick, and I'll leave it real brief, but basically teams is, there's two of you, right? So there's a team, and there's just one difference really of they add 2 more minutes. So instead of shooting 4 minutes, you have 6 minutes, but both of you on the team need to engage those same set of targets. First shooter goes down and basically is shooting as an individual, but he has the ability to have a spotter. Also, a guy can grab gear for them or whatever the case is. But then the second shooter will go up and do the same identical thing as well, and they get up to 16 points. As a single shooter, the highest you can get is 8. So while shooting at a target in NRL Hunter, if I shoot a target and I hit it on the first shot, I get 2 points. If I shoot at a target on my first target and I miss, but then I saw the wind and I correct for it and now I hit the target, now I get 1 point. Now, if I tried on the second one but I missed, I got a 0 on that target. It's a dead target, and I can move on to the next targets. So now you guys have signed up for a match. We're going to pretend you went to nrlhunter.org. You figured out that there's a match somewhere. You signed up for it. Usually what takes place, and then the reason why I say usually is sometimes it's not always this case, but 99% of the time it's like this. You're going to show up on Friday, and it'll be basically what's taking place on Friday in the morning is your range officers, your ROs, the ones that will be calling impacts for you, are shooting that Friday morning. Well, you guys or the competitors will show up probably around noon. It'll depend on the match director when they want them there, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you're going to sign in. So what you're going to do is you're going to sign a liability release at most places. You're going to sign up for a squad, and you're going to zero your rifle and get power factor. What does power factor mean? Power factor doesn't really mean much if you're shooting in skills, but they use it to break ties. So if these two people shot and they hit 90 targets or 90 points, but this guy has a higher power factor, this guy would take first and this guy would take second. So they use that to break the ties. So the power factor, I'll just do it real quick, is your bullet weight times your feet per second of your bullet. So your bullet weight, say it's 145 grain, whatever, Hornady ELD match, and you're shooting it at 2,700, you take that times that, and that ends up being your power factor. Then they take that down. So when you go to do power factor, they're going to want at least 3 rounds. So you're going to shoot 3 rounds with their chrono, some type of chrono, whatever it is, and they're going to write that information down. Not so important on the skills division, but this is kind of getting into the open light, open heavy, and factory and teams. All right. So from that point, Friday, you're going to basically do all that stuff. You're going to see company tents usually on Fridays. Company tents are basically, it could be different scope manufacturers, different types of rifles, different companies selling stuff, and you getting a chance to look through them, sometimes shoot them. There's a lot of stuff that can take place. You can find NRL Hunter matches at nrlhunter.org, 18 wheels. So that's where like the different companies come out. Usually the ones sponsoring that match, whether it's whoever, there's a bunch. So you'll see all those different tents out there. This is when you'll get a chance to check out their gear, especially as a new person in skills. You might want to check out the new SIG, the Gen 2 rangefinders or whoever. So you have a chance to check stuff out that you might need, or different tripods are out there, different scopes of different sorts. All right, so the things you're going to do on Friday, there's still a couple things you need to do. You need to put your name on and sign up for the squad like we talked about. And then you're going to make sure you grab a scorecard. And as soon as you grab the scorecard, put your name on it, because those things like to just go missing. So make sure you do that, and then write your division down. And the reason why I say write your division down and write it big is write skills if you're in skills division, because as an RO, I'm going to see that and I'm going to say, hey Rick, how much help would you like? Now you may have shot skills never, and you may say, I'll take all the help I can get. Or you may be the guy on the edge. He's like, this is probably going to be my last match as a skill shooter, and then I'm going to go to open whatever or factory. So give them a heads up. The things you're allowed to do in NRL Hunter, whether your skills or whatever, is ask yes and no questions. Yes and no questions can be very important. So if I find a target and I say, hey, is what I think target, well, so let's just say I found the placard, and then I found the target 1. And I say, is target 2 next to the dead tree with the red flowers right next to it? And that's the only red flowers out there. They can say yes or no. Or so let's say they say no. They say no. I say, is that target 3? That's a yes or no question. Then they can say yes. So maybe I skipped that one and went to that one thinking it was target 2. So you, as a new shooter, old shooter, as a smart shooter, should always ask lots of questions. It'll definitely help you. You can't ask leading questions. Is target 2 past the river, or is target 2 left of the tree thing, or whatever? That's not a question. They're going to say, give me more, or ask me something better. Let's see. Okay, so now it's Saturday morning. You checked your email just to make sure that things didn't change. Sometimes things change. The match director will be like, man, we have a storm coming in later tomorrow. We need to see if we can get these guys out in the field an hour early or 2 hours early, or whatever the case is. They're going to put that in an email, and that email is going to be very important. So if you have service, because a lot of times we're out in the middle of nowhere, check that before you go to bed, and then check it before while you're getting ready, because things change and weather dictates when things change. So definitely check that out. All right, so Saturday, show up early. Let's say it says you need to be on the hill, basically at your stage. Well, the first day is not going to be this. You'll get a safety briefing. So show up at 7 o'clock. They say be there at 7. That means you're going to want to be there at least 6:30. The reason why, everybody's coming in at the same time. So you got a whole train of cars coming in. Other reasons are just in case you got a little extra time to change a flat tire or whatever the case is. Be early. Always be early. So show up early. Have your gear ready. So your backpack, your magazines, all that kind of stuff should be ready to go. All you need to do is pull up and put stuff on, and you should be ready to walk up the hill. Another thing to think about, and I had this happen one time, I think it was in Wisconsin. We had it snowed on Friday, and then Saturday they shot. I was an RO, but the weather on Sunday was going to be horrible, rain and all sorts of stuff. And we were on this like muddy mountain already. There was like no way safely have all these people climbing up and down this hill. So they decided to shoot the entire match on Saturday and have an amazing Sunday like brunch thing and ceremony awards. So to get everybody off the hill. So we ended up doing that. So as that's going, always bring extra ammo is the reason why I'm saying this. Now, normally you're not going to need it for the whole match, but they had said before they left that Saturday, it was like, hey, we need to be done. We're going to shoot all the stages. So that does happen. But have extra ammo. There's times when your rifle may go loose. Maybe you didn't tension everything down and your zeros shifted like big time. There's times when you can possibly go back to the zero range and re-zero. So you're going to want extra ammo. Usually the matches are like 18 to 20 stages for the whole match. And in most of the times you'll do, so if it's 18, basically you'll shoot 12 on Saturday and then 6 on Sunday, so you can get out of there early and actually do the whole ceremony and awards and meal if they're going to do a meal. So bring extra ammo. Let's see what else. So back to the, if you sign up for skills, the no weights. I'm really trying to push this for the people that don't have, maybe they have a PRS rifle, or maybe they just have a hunting rifle, which is even better because that's awesome. That means you're going to be using what you brung. Hopefully the caliber is not too crazy and you can shoot all day with it. Let's see. Ask ROs for help. We talked about that a lot. And ask lots of questions. When you're not on the clock and you're hanging out with your buddies or these new people that you met or who are now your buddies, ask them, hey, can I borrow your bag? I'm going to try your shoot. Is it okay if I try your shooting bag? You will see that the community of NRL hunter shooters is pretty damn amazing, and they're really willing to help the new shooters and, you know, let them borrow gear and stuff like that. And they may say, hey, I wish you would have asked me before we got here because I have a whole nother set of gear in the car, you know. So maybe you can try a different tripod or try a different bag or try a different bipod, all that kind of stuff. Because then you can kind of get an idea before you really go out and spend your money, what's going to work for you, maybe what your wallet will let you afford. And you can kind of get an idea from all the crazy top of the line stuff down to the stuff that works really good that doesn't really impact your wallet as much. So I'm really hoping I got all the questions. I'm going to put out some more videos on this whole idea of trying to get the new NRL hunter shooters to come and play and shoot with us and enjoy such a good community of people. But I'm only put it in kind of chunks. So from this video, you should have got how you would how you would find out where and when the matches are by going to nrlhunter.org. I'm not part of any of that. It's just I really feel good about the community of people that shoot this, and I also want to promote. It's my favorite style of shooting, so it's, you know, it means a lot to me. So I want to see more people out there. I feel really good when they're like, hey, I watched your video on whatever, and thanks for doing some NRL hunter videos. So that's really what I've been focusing on the last couple of years. There's a lot of different videos in the playlist that can definitely help you as a new shooter, old shooter, seeing all the different style matches that I've shot in different ways that I've had to shoot certain matches. Those may help you to practice. I would say if you're going to do this, make sure you practice and make sure you get data for that rifle that you're shooting with the ammo. Things to think about too is if you don't have the ammo, when you buy ammunition, it comes in a lot, an LOT, and it'll have a number on it. So let's say I go to Cabela's, or let's say I go to Shields, or wherever I go, and I pick up some random boxes of the same box, but I pick up boxes of whatever I want to use. I'm going to look on the back of that box and confirm that it's at least the same lot. And what that means is basically that happened through the same machine at that one process. So basically that ammo should be the same or as close to the same as than it would be than any other stuff. And that'll help keep your data a little tighter. So your SDs aren't going to be all over the board, hopefully, depending on what type of ammunition you're picking. So that can help, or, you know, you can obviously use hand load ammo that you have made, and I'm sure it's going to be great stuff, but you're going to want data for that, or data on previous engagements. You're going to want to know what that shoots at 325 yards, 400 yards, and all that stuff should be on an arm board somewhere. And I got a video on arm boards, and it kind of shows some pictures of what you'd want, but basically from 100 yards to 1,000 yards, you're going to want information like within 20-yard increments, 25-yard increments, and then that'll definitely help you in case something happens. So let's say you're brand new and you have a rangefinder and not a binos that have range finding gear in it. I find the target with my binos, I use my rangefinder and it says 725. I need something to write on. Grease pencils are really good. Wet erase is really good. Kind of depends on your weather. If it's going to rain, don't use wet erase or dry erase because you can just bump those loose and it'll just be gone that fast. So that's not the way you want to go. But a grease pencil is definitely handy. I use grease pencils 99% of the time, and they work really well. And then you just need a rag to wipe them off your board. Or just use tape. I've seen people use like a thing of blue tape, put it right on there, right to just say you're shooting in mils and it's 6.8 mils, right? 6.8 down. So when you get on the target, you dial. You're going to want a turret that you can dial with. So some type of target, preferably, not so much preferably, but something with some wind holds in it as well. So you can know, or even a Christmas tree style works good if you're familiar with those. If you don't do that, most people will dial every target. So you really don't need too much busyness going on, but you're going to want something for wind holds in case you got some crazy wind out there, so you can hold 1 or 2 mils or 1.2 mils of wind or whatever the case is. So that's definitely going to be a benefit. But most importantly, bring what you have. If you have just stuff that your grandpa gave you, and it's a rifle that you think is safe to shoot and has some type of scope on it, and you have a way of figuring out what the data is without dialing the turrets, and you have good information on it, come out and play. That's the important part, is come out and play, have fun, enjoy the people that are there. They'll give you great, helpful advice, and you're going to have a lot of fun. You're definitely going to have a lot of fun. So hopefully this video, it's 41 minutes long, inspires somebody or all of you to go out and try it. So with that said, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you on the next one. Stay safe and smile.